Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Laurentian Valley Council and Committee meeting for Tuesday, May 7th. Call to order, please. Alan and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Wren, seconded by Councillor King, that the Council and Committee meeting of May 7th, 2024 be called to order at 5:30 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Roll call.
Mayor Bennett,
Present.
Reeve Watt,
Present.
Councillor Gauthier-Keel,
Present.
Councillor Hewitt,
Present.
Councillor Hughley,
Present.
Councillor King,
Present.
Councillor Wren.
Present.
All present.
Motion to approve the agenda. Keith and Brian.
Moved by Reeve Watt, seconded by Councillor Hughley, that the agenda of the Council and Committee meeting of May 7th, 2024 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Delegations. Jennifer Lehman from Pembroke Canary Airport. Welcome. Hi, Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thank you.
Steve is the manager at the airport.
We're going to school. You have a quiz for us tonight?
Going to test your, see how well our representative on the airport commission is informing on.
Oh, Jennifer, can you turn the mic on, please, in front of you? Thank you.
So again, I just want to introduce Steve Gilchrist, who's the manager at the Pembroke Canary Airport, and I work in communications for the airport. And to give you a little update of what's gone on in 2023, I have, Alan has given you each a question, of which there are 2 answers, so you already have a 50-50 chance of getting the answer right. So we'll go around the table and you'll read your question, choose your answer, and then we'll expand a little bit on that information. So Wendy, I'm going to start with you.
The airport is a member of which provincial aviation organization? The first one is Canadian Airports Council, and this B is Airport Management Council of Ontario. And you want me to answer this? I'm going to guess B.
Very good. Yes, we are a member of the Airport Management Council of Ontario. So they have members of airports and groups that support airports, line painting services, and aviation-related consultants from all across Ontario. So we actually hosted a spring airfield workshop for them pre-COVID, and Garrison Petawawa put on an awesome display when they were up here. But we connect with them. They're really pursuing a lot of lobbying and governance issues, trying to get the province of Ontario to recognize that airports that don't offer scheduled service still have big value in the community. And they're kind of building this campaign really around our airport. It's the exact example that they're using. So we have a representative on the governance committee for the airport, and we probably connect back and forth with them on a regular basis. And at the start of 2023, the airport received a sweeper for $0 from Red Lake Airport, who we met through this organization. So that's a massive cost savings to us, and we've already used that sweeper already that was 20-some years newer than the one we had. So very good, Wendy, setting a high standard. Okay, Brian?
In the spring of 2023, 57 lakes in Renfrew County were stocked with fish. How many fish were added? A, 95,000, B, 35,000, and I'm going to go with A, 95,000.
Oh, Alan, well done with your education here. Very good. So we actually just had fish stocking for this year, this week, actually. They were out again, but the fish stocking happens at the airport and it goes all across Renfrew County. So there's, in 2023, the lakes that they went into were in Brudenell, in Barry's Bay, Madawaska region. It was all around the area. So interestingly, the gentleman that I spoke to who was organizing it today, this year, said that they expect all those fish to be angled. So that gives you some idea as to how popular fishing is with local residents and with tourists here. And they did it again this year. So it's really quite an operation. Steve actually went with them for the whole, from the point of the fish arriving from North Bay Fishery, getting loaded onto the helicopter, and then with the helicopter and into the lake. So he can give you a play-by-play.
I know where the lakes are.
But really, this is only one of the things that the Ministry of Natural Resources is involved with at the airport. So we often see them for forest firefighting, which happens every year. And last year was actually an extended season because we were really dry in this community, even down into October and into the fall. But they do also moose counts, deer counts, bear counts, wolf, all sorts of wildlife, all sorts of tracking, all of that. So where that connects down into all the communities is, for example, moose and deer hunting licenses are provided based on those counts. And of course, hunting is a very popular sport here. If you ever try to get something done in the fall, you know that you better push that a couple of weeks. But it also is a big tourism thing that draws people in here. So, you know, hunters are big supporters of the local economy, as are people who are fishing, camping while they're fishing, you know, buying from local stores, all that kind of thing. So it's something that people see, okay, great, you've stocked the lakes, that's nice, but there's a ripple effect, a trickle-down effect all the time whenever it comes to things like that at the airport. Okay, Keith, pressure's on.
The president of which country visited our region this year with a specific interest in CNL? A, Mexico, or B, Jamaica? If my reading homework is correct, it's B, Jamaica.
You are correct. So yes, that was one of our big visitors this year. The president of Jamaica came to the airport, they flew into Hamilton and then flew here and had business with CNL. So CNL, we do a lot of people that are connected to CNL. We see that business come into the airport. They were CNL's one of over 200 corporate organizations that we have welcomed in at the airport, either directly or indirectly. So, for example, Roseburg Forest Products that you all know out here in this community fly in directly. This was an indirect flight because someone came in to visit CNL. So CNL doesn't have the aircraft, but somebody did who came to see them. So a lot of times people think that, you know, the only people at the airport are those that own private aircraft, and we love our civilian pilots. They're awesome. They're our big volunteers when we have events and things like that. But we have actually had more corporate and more corporate versus other civilian movements at the airport in 2023. So good news in the sense that the corporate stuff is getting back on track. Building here, a lot of people that come in, they look for land options, investment opportunities, different things like that. And then some very unique things. One visitor that we had this year flew in from Saskatchewan, and he had developed an MRI machine that would work in space. And that was being tested up at CNL as well. So some really cool things that go on in the world and everywhere, and we have a connection there through that.
Wow.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, my question is, who's our council rep of the airport? No.
You want to get to the bottom?
Okay, how many liters of fuel did the airport sell to D&D during a 6-week exercise in the fall of 2023? A, 630,000, B, 165. I would say it would be A, 630.
Yes, so that was a huge operation for us at the end of the year. And to give you some idea, we sold almost 800,000 liters, so 630 was just for this 6 weeks with D&D. So that is a huge contract, I'm going to call, that we had for them. So D&D is our biggest user at the airport. They use it for a lot of training practices. They also rent the hangar from us. They are a go-to for us if we ever need something there. They're excellent to be able to help us out with things. We have a NDB approach that is still there because of D&D, so they've done a lot to contribute. And in the late summer, early fall, they were looking to have an exercise, and they needed to be able to refuel for 6 weeks consistently with fixed wing and rotary wing helicopters and airplanes at the airport. So what it required from us and the new fuel tanks that you have invested in was oftentimes 2 or 3 truckloads of fuel a day that was coming in and going through those tanks, and that Steve and the staff basically were there 24/7 because it just was constant refueling. So the good news for us is we earned some income off of fuel sales, and that helped us have our best year ever, which is great. And also, more importantly, let DND know that we can perform at a high level for them if they need us. And that's important because they're already our biggest user. They're the County of Renfrew's largest employer. They impact $1 billion in this region alone. It's good for them to know that we can up our game for them. So really big commitment there. Alan.
I told Jennifer, make sure that I don't get the hardest one and the tough one that I'm not really sure about. So this social media post was seen by 38,782 people and had 178 comments. What was it about? Forest firefighting or search and rescue? They say forest firefighting.
You are correct. So last year we had a lot of activity for a couple of weeks at the airport, and we posted the activity, and a lot of it, if you remember, there was a fire up in Griffith-Calabogie area. That actually was all managed out of the Pembroke Canary Airport. A few reasons for that. There is an airport in Arm Prior as well. We were just able to accommodate their needs a little easier so that they could get to and from the fire and refuel and do it more efficiently. Obviously, when you've got a forest fire, time is of the essence. You can't waste any time and that sort of thing. So search and rescue, another huge service that we have at the airport. So that's offered by DND and also OPP. And there are also ancillary organizations that support in search and rescue. So most of the time, the search and rescue is for tourists. So Algonquin Provincial Park, and also up in Rolfton, we had a couple ATV incidents. We have also worked with Quebec as well. So there was someone snowmobiling last winter over in Quebec, ended up needing to be medevaced out of there, but Quebec doesn't have medevac like we have it here. You have to get to a certain space in Quebec where they can pick you up, and he wasn't able to do that. So the Quebec police came in their helicopter to the airport. They took everything out of the helicopter because you can only have so much weight whenever you're flying. They got that basket that they put people in, took off, went over to Quebec, got the guy, lowered the basket down, put the guy in, brought the guy up, came back to the airport because he was from Ontario, where air ambulance was waiting to take him to further his healthcare needs. So again, all of those things happen. If the airport wasn't here, where would that operation be managed from, and would he have survived? Because we're talking Ottawa or North Bay or maybe somewhere in Quebec. So really, those are the types of things that it's sometimes difficult for us to always talk about because there are privacy issues there, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's a life and death situation. But that had a good outcome, so we were happy to be able to talk about that. Okay, Ms. Gauthier-Keel.
Well, I think that you just gave me the answer. It's what I was going to say anyways, so we'll see. Which describes the first flight to land at the airport in 2023? An international air ambulance flight or an Orange, Ontario air ambulance? Orange?
Unfortunately,
No.
it was, you knew it, right? So we did have 60 orange movements at the airport in 2023, and this was one that we talked about. But our very first flight of 2023 came in from St. Lucia. So what a lot of people don't know is if you are vacationing outside of the country and something happens and you need to be flown back and you're from this region, you're flown into the Pembroke Canary Airport. So that was our #1 flight, our very first flight on record this year. And it probably happens every year, at least once, sometimes twice, that something like that happens. So Orange Air meets the international air ambulance here, and then the person is taken to wherever they need to go in Ontario to further their health care. So on Orange, obviously we see them quite a bit. They've been at the airport quite a bit in the last 2 weeks, actually. And a lot of people think that because the hospital has a helipad that we wouldn't see them that often. You often see pictures of Orange landing on roads and things like that. But the helicopter, for example, that was in this past week, there was a weather issue that prevented them from being able to land on the helipad. So then they're redirected automatically to the airport. Another reason for that might be if there is a pilot who hasn't landed on the helipad within, I believe it's a 6-month term. If the pilot's new to flying that route and hasn't landed there, they redirect to the airport. So they're very safety conscious. Any chance that something is not going on, weather-wise or safety-wise, they come here. Up in Deep River, there's often an issue called the black hole effect where, and I've been to their helipad and I don't really understand how it all works, but sometimes whenever you're trying to land, you can't make out the ground. And so it just looks like you're in a big black hole and that you can't land safely. So whenever a pilot has that sense that something's going on, and a lot of it times has to do with weather, they redirect to the airport. So we also, if there's fuel, we've been at the airport where the only reason why the air ambulance could come is because they could refuel with us. They don't always come from Ottawa, although there is a base there. Oftentimes they're coming from Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, Toronto. They're coming from all across the province. So the availability to get here and refuel makes it possible that they can often come here quite often. So we did a letter writing campaign this year, and we did have all of our hospitals write a letter in support, and they called us a partner in healthcare. So that was really big for us to make that connection with the local hospitals, and they know, and Orange has told us, there's a 100% chance we can come because of the airport. If there wasn't an airport, that would really change things. So when you're selling a rural area to people and they know they can get to a hospital in 20 minutes if they need it, that's a big feature for all communities. Betty King.
I don't feel so bad now the pressure's off about getting the wrong answer. Thanks, Jen. How many times in 2023 did airport staff have an after-hours request for services? So I'm going to follow trend with all the high numbers, and I'm going to go with B, 55, because A was 27.
So you're right. So Steve and staff are, sorry, Jen. Steve and staff are the people who get called out. So the airport is accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. Their operating hours are generally 7:30 in the morning till 5 at night, but most of the time there is a call out on an emergency. Usually emergencies don't happen in business hours, they happen outside of that. So there is a number that the dispatch service can call and request that someone be at the airport. It is usually for fuel, and it is usually for an air ambulance, a search and rescue, Ministry of Natural Resources, an emergency OPP sort of situation. So Steve and staff, and mostly it's Steve that goes out for that. And so 55 times, that's a separate call that he goes out usually between, I think everybody's favorite hours are between midnight and 2:30 in the morning, I think, when you get the call. So luckily Steve lives close by, and he can get there for all of that. So again, big service to know that there is never an opportunity that you can't be there. And that's huge for an airport of our size. When we talk about the airport with other airports, and we just had a call about this last week, they really can't, they just cannot imagine that we operate with a minimal municipal contribution, that we earn 85% of our own revenue to operate there. And there isn't an airport that we have found, and I'm going to say there's not one in Canada that is able to do that. So this is a very unique situation. You should all be very proud of this facility, because financially it is setting a standard in Ontario that nobody's even close to. I mean, other communities of our size are putting in $250,000 to $500,000 to over $1 million a year to run their airport. And our collective municipal owners, of which there are 6, are just under 100,000. And we run on, that's about 15% of what our budget is. So with that, congratulations on the quiz. You did way better than Whitewater Region, by the way. If anybody has any questions, we're happy to take them.
Any questions from Keith?
Speaking of Orange, just curious, maybe you can answer, maybe you can't. How does that flight originate in the first place? Is it from a hospital? Is it from a doctor? Paramedics?
Yeah, it comes from the hospital. That's who would dispatch it. I don't know if would OPP do it if there was a roadside issue, do you know?
It would be a paramedic call. It would be a paramedic call on the side of the road.
Okay.
EMS. Yeah.
Yeah.
And furthermore then, could that Orange helicopter or plane be at any different airport, like North Bay or Ottawa?
Yeah, the aircraft are stationed, they have certain bases throughout Ontario. I think there's probably 7 or 8 bases where they're at, and there is one in Ottawa. But it's not, I wouldn't say even half the time that the aircraft comes from Ottawa. So it's not uncommon that someone in North Bay, the pilot will be coming from Ottawa to go to North Bay to serve that, provide that air ambulance service. So you have one, yeah?
The,
Steve, if you could, just into the mic.
yep, the orange ambulance that we just had in this past week, after talking with the pilots, he was scheduled to go to Bancroft, and they were fogged in, and then they turned around, they said, okay, go to North Bay and pick so-and-so up, and they couldn't get to North Bay because of weather. And then they said, okay, we have one in Pembroke, go to Pembroke and pick one up. So they often get rerouted in flight. Like, it's not a set call that they're coming to the Pembroke Hospital. They may be going somewhere else and get rerouted on a regular basis.
Thank you.
The other point that is one of my big points that I like to mention is that the cost for you to take an air ambulance flight, if you had to leave from here and go to Toronto, Montreal, or Ottawa, which is usually where the flights go to, the cost to taxpayers here is $0. We pay for that as part of our provincial service. That is not how it is in other provinces, so we're very fortunate about that. And just to give you an example, a land ambulance service, you all pay for that as well, but we pay for it for our local taxes and provincially, and it's 50% reimbursed provincially, and air ambulance is 100%. So we, oftentimes in rural areas, there are services that are available throughout Ontario that we can't access, and I think of, for example, public transit is a tough one in this area, but this is a service, along with forest firefighting, OPP, search and rescue, that we have access to, and a lot of it is because of the airport.
Go ahead.
One more question. Project Runway is still a go. How far are you towards, I guess, the goal on that in terms of gathering funds?
So we're at just under $300,000 raised so far. Our goal at the time was 1.25 million. That was pre-COVID. Things have changed a little bit since then. But when we worked with the lobbying group that we had working with the airport for about 1.5 years, 2 years, I think, we realized that we needed to up the ask to cover a couple of different things. So not just the resurfacing of the runway, but also the taxiway, the apron, and all of those parts, because all of that asphalt as well is 1968. That's when it was laid. So we changed our sort of plan a little bit there, and we went to the province and the federal government with a $10 million ask to cover everything. And we do have an opportunity to pursue that with an agency that is pending right now. But what we learned was that even though 1.25 million is the world to us, it's not the world when you're talking to the provincial or federal government, and we had to be on their radar at a different level. So we are still doing donations. We've collected donations every month. We have donations that come in, and it really is the people who started that, the grassroots groups in this community in Renfrew County, who bought their foot of runway for $250, because without that, we wouldn't be where we are in terms of being able to have conversations federally, provincially, and with funders at a larger scale as well.
Thank you.
Alan?
So just a note on that. We all know that whenever you get funding from either the federal or provincial government or both, you're still going to need your share of the funding. So basically, what we have collected locally would go towards our share of any funding that we may get from the federal or provincial government.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your presentation tonight and the quiz. I think our council passed with flying colors. I still have never really figured out how Steve and your staff run an operation that you do with so few people, and hats off to you guys. I think you do a fabulous job. Alan tells us about different things that are done at the airport and how you maintain it, and yeah, great job. Thank you very much. Okay, and thank you again, Jennifer.
Just one further note on that, and thanks for saying that, Mr. Mayor, because the staff is really exceptional. There was, the Canadian Coast Guard was in yesterday, and they're navigating up and down the Ottawa River, checking, there's a lot of navigational aids that are off river that they have to go and check, clear brush, make sure it's still working, all that kind of stuff. And so I said, I do some work for the airport, we're, promoting the airport, and he said, well, this is one of the best airports we ever fly into. Everything we need is always at this, and he gave me the whole rundown about how great the airport is. So again, we might be small, but we're mighty, and you've got some great people that make sure that happens every day, and that includes your commission representatives as well.
Okay, thank you very much. So is there a test for Jennifer down the road? Okay, so the next delegation we have is Forestry Park Group. I'll turn it over to Nevada, please.
Yes, so we have 3 volunteers that sit on the Forestry Park Committee. Curtis Waibi, he's the president of the committee, Bert O'Coin, who's the vice president, and Megan Rubyard, who's the treasurer. So they're going to come up and present their financials from 2023 and their budget and goals for this coming year.
Oh,
Good
you have
evening,
to come up
council.
too, Curtis.
What's that?
He has to come up as well. He was going to stay
yes.
back.
He's-
Okay, welcome, folks, and first of all, thanks for volunteering and having this group, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just gonna go over the budget for the last year, or 2 years, I guess, this year following. We've been busy there with our surplus we had. So as you could see, we started off the year with that 22,000, and you guys gave us the 5,000 for the upkeep. So we hire a lawn service, which is roughly $2,500 for maintenance for the summer. The wintertime, we don't have any programs or anything going on. It's very basic, the park we're at. So, but with the surplus we had, just being starting president last year, we decided to do some work at the park to kind of fix it up and, bring more people into the community around the area for the kids. So we hired M&R Feeds, as you can see right there, 8463, with that surplus to continue the basketball court along the backside, so the ball doesn't roll down the hill and it kind of has a little backing. So we hired them mid-year, and then toward the end of the year, we decided to utilize the 10 acres we currently have to extend a trail about 700 feet. So we got BIM's backhoe to come in and to grub for us, see if there's any low spots or anything. So we got that at the end of the year, and that left us with the balance at $14,210. And then this following year in 2024, we still haven't got any funding yet, but we still had some surplus left in the budget. So we called Winter Summer Solutions for our lawn care. We got some weed barrier for the project we have for the trail, and BIM's backhoe, which we currently just finished this weekend. We did a lot of back work with him this weekend, just donating our time. A lot of raking and shoveling, but we just completed the trail right now, and I just got BEI to donate a roller today. They just dropped off. So we just packed down the trail and everything. But yeah, we're left with $1,113 with the project that we just finished. And we plan to put a little topsoil down too for that. So yeah, and I'm always at the park with my kids, and same with everybody else here. And then a lot of other people are coming in with the community, and a lot of moms with strollers and stuff, so they're excited to kind of walk the trail, and it's very scenic. And I flattened some other spots back there too, and hoping to do kind of a gazebo in the back and some benches, because it's very open back there. So that's kind of the plan for that. But yeah, we're hoping to see what our budget will entail this year for the income we get from you guys to do some more fixing up. And yeah, I have some other little considerations too I'll put in mind here. So just we're not looking to expand anything kind of crazy, no ball diamond or anything. The community that we're at right now, it's nice, quiet, and yeah, the noise level and stuff from a lot of other neighbors, just walking around and talking to them, they want to kind of keep that down. So the trail is nice to kind of keep in mind, but we're looking at more enhancing things and fixing stuff up. So the gazebos we currently have in that area, we're kind of looking at pressure washing and steam cleaning them. And the play structures are getting a little like mildew kind of from just the aging. So I'm looking at kind of getting a hot pressure washer, cleaning that off, and I have a tractor too, so I donate my time to rake up the sand and clean that up in the area. So, and that's kind of what we're considering, and we're looking at getting some seed from the trail from where we kind of dug up some areas as well. So, but yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
No, pretty much did it on.
Yeah, it's a nice little park there we have. It's quiet. Thanks for fixing the road kind of going in as well from the town here. But
Good. And we continue to plow in the wintertime?
no, there's
we're
no
not doing that
there's-
anymore. Okay.
yeah,
No plowing in the
there's no plowing. It's pretty well shut down in the winter. Some
Okay, so you
people
don't have
kind of
to
go
worry
in
about
there.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a smaller, like we don't have any other buildings or anything on the property, right? So it's literally just the park.
Okay.
There's a little hockey net and the basketball court in the back. There's also a volleyball court there too. So, and now there's going to be the trail. And I'm hoping, I'm also looking at getting a plaque, I guess, George Hodgson that
Yes.
donated a
Yep.
lot of his time. I'm trying to figure out who, because I had a friend that was able to kind of get a stone engraved, but he hasn't really got back to me. But I want to do something for him. I was talking to his wife not long ago. So I don't know if the township knows or can do something with that in reference, but
I'm sure Nevada
yeah.
could help you out there.
yes,
we'd
I
like
just
to
thought
dedicate the
we
trail
want
to
to
him.
dedicate the trail to him.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Can you, when you do that, can you let us know, let Nevada know?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Because
That-
some of
that
us
is
did
first.
sit with George on council, so.
Yes.
for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I
No?
just wanted to, but yeah, that's so.
Betty might be able to let you know where we got the stone for Allison Fraser. A couple stones we have there engraved.
I use Campbell Monument,
Campbell Monument.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
and they're very reasonably priced, so.
Okay, excellent.
You take them any kind of drawing, they'll do up whatever you want and put it on there.
Very good.
And they're also in our townships, which is good.
That's why I kept, M&R was kind of the only one at the time to do the fencing and stuff, but I kept it to people locally, so.
So how long would the trail be now?
So the trail is about 750 feet. So as you come into the park on the right-hand side, it's kind of like the starting piece to it, and it kind of loops all around the backside. There's a farm field along the back. So it's very hilly and very open, and if you walk there at night, the nice sunset and everything, and yeah, it's open now.
Here's the nasty question.
Yes.
What about dogs?
So we have a doggy bag right by the garbage. People, like I go there a lot with my kids, and yeah, it's customary to pick stuff up, but obviously you find people here and there, and we've had no issues with dogs.
I'm just saying, you allow dogs, you're not
Yes,
having.
there's no,
Just
nothing.
some
Yeah,
areas
there's-
do not want dogs on their
No, I
walking
know,
trails, that's why I wanted to ask.
I'm fine with that, until something comes up, because again, we've had the gravel there, the limestone, and people really haven't looked at it yet, so I'll see as it goes throughout the summer, and I'll bring it up, if it's an issue, so.
How big is your committee?
So.
Four of us.
So
Oh,
we have,
okay.
yeah,
All
we
right.
have four.
We just joined last year. So.
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
Bert and I
okay.
just. Yeah. But yeah, we're looking at getting a few other committee members just to kind of help out, and it's more or less the upkeep at the park. And a lot of people, they have their opinions locally, and they're do this and do that. But it's nice to get a little more volunteers, right? So.
Al?
So I guess the financial question is what are you guys looking for? Are you looking for another 5,000?
Yeah.
I'd be prepared to support a donation, $5,000. You guys do good work out there, and I know that park is well used. I've talked to a lot of people, and they love it, and we want to see volunteers continue to run parks, because we think that that's the best way for a park to be kept the way the community wants it.
Yes. Yeah. That's currently the money given, the 5,000 would work for what we're doing, and we have a little surplus dependent on. If something breaks, like the gazebo, I can go out and I could, like Bert and I, for instance, we fix a lot of the stuff there too, right? So, Obviously, other park committees, we've had issues with vandalism. That's evident with stuff, but we're able to fix those little things, right? And I get my son to help out too, 10 years old. He's able to, come and help paint with me, and yeah.
Kevin, I believe, is great that way, because when he came and did his presentation, give your list to him, and should there
Okay.
be grants and stuff coming up for
Yes.
gazebos or park benches
Yeah,
and that kind, Kevin, I don't know where we got Kevin. Chris.
We're looking for Kevin over here.
Chris does a great job with that type of thing, so yeah, get him your wish list, and if anything comes
that'd
up,
be
I'm sure he'll
perfect.
keep you in mind.
Yeah, we left the trail, actually, we left a few spots for like the benches and gazebos, and the bugs there are bad too, like the black flies and the mosquitoes. So people were talking about, getting it all enclosed, and it's something, it's a future consideration, which I'd like to do. I have it all written down and planned out, but again, a little bit of a surplus every year to kind of build up on that, and then we have something for the next year to follow on, so.
Just following up with Alan, I believe, Sean, their 5,000 is in the budget already?
Yes, that's correct. There's $5,000 allocated to their park.
So when does that go out?
Probably shortly when the check requisition comes through.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Keith?
I was just gonna second Alan's motion there.
Yeah, we don't need the
for
motion, it's already
$5,000.
approved. Unless you want an extra 5, and then we'd have to have a discussion.
Yeah.
We'll spend it.
Okay, any other questions from council? Again, thank you for coming out tonight, presenting your ideas and your projects, and again, much appreciation for the volunteers.
Yep, I'll make sure I get an email sent to Nevada for the appreciation for George too.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely,
Yeah.
for sure.
No,
Okay,
definitely.
thank you very much. Okay, I need a motion to open public planning meeting. Betty and Wendy?
Moved by Counselor King, seconded by Counselor Hewitt, that the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley pursuant to Sections 34 of the Planning Act hereby declare a public meeting open at 6:07 PM to discuss application for zoning bylaw amendment file number Z 2024-04, Green, consent B100/23.
All in favor? Carried. Turn it over to you, Laurie.
Okay, yes, so we have a public meeting tonight related to file number Z 2024-04 Green, which is also condition of consent file B100 for 2023. The notice was issued as a combined notice of application and of the public meeting, and it was given out with the purpose and effect as follows: that the purpose of the amendment is to satisfy a condition of consent for County of Renfrew consent application file number B123 by rezoning the subject lands to recognize the location of a reconstructed dwelling that was rebuilt as a result of a fire on lands subject to extractive industrial reserve EMR zoning, and which would no longer benefit from non-conforming provisions of the zoning bylaw. The effect of the amendment is to establish the extractive industrial reserve EMR E6 zone with an exception that would permit a dwelling existing on the date of passing of this bylaw and recognizing the location of the dwelling relative to lot lines resulting from consent file number B123. The amendment would also rezone the subject lands from extractive industrial reserve EMR to extractive industrial reserve exception 6. And the lands are located at 1870 Sandy Beach Road within Part 14, Concession 9 in the geographic township of Alice. And again, these lands are part of the lot addition application. The notice was issued in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act on the 11th day of April, and the site was also posted. Again, the purpose of this public meeting is to gather input. So if there are any comments, they can be provided in writing or verbally. And in order to preserve abilities to appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal, you do need to make comments known prior to council making a decision. So that's for any of the members of the public that are here present. And there's also a sign-in sheet should you wish to receive further notice and you're here for this meeting. It can be assigned in. It's at the back desk. Again, this is a public meeting, so any comments, names, information related to address or material that's provided is considered part of the public record and will be provided to anyone that's deemed appropriate as part of the review of this application or that makes a request. So we did not receive any written comments related to this application. The only comment we received was an email from the public body Enbridge, just again advising that they don't have any comments.
Okay, questions of council? Anybody online or anything, Laurie? No way. Okay. Okay, we have a motion. Alan and Keith.
Moved by Councillor Wren, seconded by Reeve Watt, that the council in committee approves application for zoning bylaw amendment file number Z 2024-04, green, consent file number B 123, and recommends that council forward bylaw 2024-05030 as presented to the bylaw portion of the regular council meeting of May 21st, 2024 for enactment.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. Motion to adjourn the public meeting. Jennifer and Betty.
Moved by Councillor Gauthier-Keel, seconded by Councillor King, that the Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley hereby declare the public meeting of May 7, 2024 be adjourned at 6:12 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. Under business, community improvement plan. Request for retroactive consideration of signs work completed for 1043 Pembroke Street East.
Yes, so I do have a request before council for consideration of funding for works that had been completed during the process of reviewing an application for community improvement plan grant. So this initial discussions had started back under the time with our former community development officer, and then we have proceeded through corresponding planning act processes related to this property, and then through our current community development officer, the request was brought forward. So not sure if there was a bit of misunderstanding or just in terms of how the speed at which the works took place, but it is works that would have been otherwise approved, and we do have available funding this year. But because our plan does typically, with the exception of the COVID category, deal with works that are not yet completed, we have to bring this before council for council to support or refuse the request.
Okay, we have a motion. Yeah. Brian and Alan.
Moved by Councillor Hoogley, seconded by Councillor Wren, that the subject of all other eligibility requirements being met, that council directs staff to approve an application under the Community Improvement Plan for eligible signage works completed in 2024 at 1043 Pembroke Street East for the new blacksmith shop forged in Canada prior to the application being approved.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Laurie. And the subcommittees, Pembroke and Area Airport.
I think we pretty much covered that
pretty
one
much.
so far.
Emergency management, Laurie.
Okay, again, just a reminder that this is EP week, and so our theme again is plan for every season. We do have social media and website information, and we also have displays in the front foyer as well, that anybody who comes to the township office is welcome to take any of the print material, or also they can get material online. And then I'm also, happy to say that our Angela Seabarth, our emergency information officer, and Chris Neff, our community development officer, put their heads together this year and hopefully have come up with, I think, a very exciting contest called the Imagination Emergency Imagination Emergency Contest. And we do have submissions being asked to be put in by township residents by the 27th of May, and I will leave a little bit to Chris to explain a little bit more on this whole big imagination project when he speaks a little bit later in our meeting for his report. But just yes, it's very exciting, and we hope we get a little bit more engagement, as sometimes in the past we haven't had quite as much, even though we think we have some great prizes. But anyhow, we'll work on that. And then just another point for council too is that we also did receive the letter from EMO, just again advising that we were compliant for 2023. So that's also attached for council's information.
Good, thank you, Laurie. Okay, moving to business asset management plan update. Good couch. Okay, Sean?
Okay, so the report that is in front of you is twofold. It's a short update, and then there's an ask. The plan is coming along. We're part of the Public Sector Digest Amp It Up 3.0 program, so every month there's a workshop that I attend, and Mark and I are in a working group with Town of Petawawa, City of Pembroke, Whitewater Region, and Deep River, where we are meeting not about every 2 months, I would say, and just bouncing ideas off of each other as we're all trying to meet the same deadline, but we're all at kind of different spots. We are still continuing wanting to do this plan in-house, but in recognizing that the end result of this is going to be a plan coming to council for your approval, which will hopefully happen. The deadline's July 1st, but the realistic deadline for us, it will probably be Q4, sometime in Q4. I think that's realistic to have a really well done plan that we understand. But looking at other municipalities, specifically the county of Renfrew, who's also trying to pass theirs at this point in time, when it gets to the council table, there is sometimes a little bit of confusion of exactly what we're looking at and what's gone into it, and then there's a dialogue. So I think it's important to get council's buy-in, to have, I would think, at least 2 members. It can't be more than 3, but 2 members on a working group with myself, Mark, Brad, our road supervisor, and then Dean as the CAO kind of stepping in, just so that when we work through, because my plan is each asset category I would bring to that group. We have to talk about levels of service, the condition of our assets, how we're measuring that condition, what the replacement schedule might be, which plays into levels of service, and then out will come a professional looking document. So I guess my ask to council, or my recommendation as the treasurer, would be we form a working group, and that I 2 members or 3 members, it can't be more than 3 because we get into quorum issues, but I think more than 1, but if only 1, something, just so we can have some council representation from the governance perspective. So with council representation, we have governance there. With the CAO, we kind of have the leadership. Mark and Brad bring the infrastructure side, and then I would bring kind of the finance side, and then that would give us a well-rounded group to work through this together. So with that, I will pass it back to the mayor for comments or questions.
So I would suggest that Chair of Finance should be on that. Al, if council's okay with that. Is there anybody else that wants to be on it? Either, I know it's going to be during the day, so a lot of you are working. You or I, it doesn't matter. You can go, and I can be an alternate for one of them. Or I'm ex officio anyways,
Yeah.
so I could still probably come in anyways.
Yeah.
So you're interested, Keith? Okay.
And I guess the commitment level, I mean, leaving tonight, I will send out an email trying to gauge when we can meet, but I think, to be fair to staff and to the members, would be that it probably will be once a month, potentially maybe on the lead off will be twice in a month type thing, just to get ourselves moving. But then we're going to need work as staff, because each asset category, like I've done fleet for the first meeting, and fleet's probably the easiest, and fleet took me the full of 2.5 weeks to get it where I've got it. So roads and the pipes will take a lot longer. But anyway, it'll probably be a commitment of once a month for the next couple months. So.
Okay. So we have a motion. Jennifer and Betty?
Moved by Counselor Gauthier-Keel and seconded by Counselor King that the Corporate Services and Protection Committee accept this report for information purposes as it relates to the township's asset management plan, and that the Corporate Services and Protection Committee recommend to Council to appoint the following members of Council to an asset management plan working group: Counselor Wren, Reeve Watt, and Mayor Bennett.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, Sean, 24, tax and wastewater rates.
Okay, so this next report is the next step, I guess, in that whole budget process that we went through, but I've attached and have generated the tax rates and the wastewater rates. So just as a refresher, for wastewater charges in Laurentian Valley, we have like almost basically like a tax rate. So those two sets of rates need to be generated. If we can stay there. So with the County of Renfrew passing their rates and no change in the education rates, the end result for a ratepayer in Laurentian Valley that's only on property tax, so no wastewater or no water, would be a total increase of 5.81%. Per $100,000 of assessment, that's about $58. Our portion, so the municipal portion, so not the county, I guess the lower tier portion, that increase is 8.14%. And per $100,000 is like $38. So this is very close to when we went through the budget process. I believe, if I recall correctly, I said that the median home would be, which we'll get to in a second, but would be going about $90. This is very, it's a little bit less than my projection earlier, but this would be the effect for the residential ratepayer. If we can go to the next graphic here, this shows the increase for the median single-family detached home. We have tax. The increase I just spoke about would be it's about 6.24% increase for just the property taxes. If you're on tax and water, it's about $185 increase, and then if you're on water, wastewater, and property taxes, it's a $243 increase. And if we can go to the next graphic, please. This is a breakdown of the total tax bill, how those dollars will be spread out. So 35% would be lower tier, so Laurentian Valley dollars. The County of Renfrew is about 36%. Then the school boards, or the province of Ontario rather, would be about 20%. And then the province of Ontario for policing is at just under 9%. So that's kind of the breakup of the dollar. And then there's the bylaw attached that has the rates for all the different classes. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back.
Anybody? Keith?
Just a comment that the pie chart, the graph that you showed there showing the distribution of dollars between the county, the municipality, and whatever, maybe have that put into the newsletter that goes out so that the rest of the residents can see where the tax dollars are actually going to.
Yeah, that's a point well taken. We can work on that, and especially because we will have the tax bills going out in the next month or so. We would probably have an insert that will have that graphic on there as well.
I think it'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody else? Motion? Keith and Wendy?
Moved by Reeve Watt and seconded by Councillor Hewitt that the Corporate Services and Protection Committee recommends Council of the Township of Laurentian Valley approve the 2024 tax and wastewater rates as presented and forward bylaw 2024-05033 as presented to the bylaw portion of the regular council meeting of May 21st, 2024 for enactment.
All in favor? Carried. Sean, next one is the Pembroke Public Library Service Agreement.
I think I'm turning that one to you. I was here for the moral support.
But you're signed on the, consulted by Sean, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly take the lead, Lori. I think this one has been discussed quite a bit, so I don't know if you have anything else to add. I mean, I think the group has discussed this, and this is the formality of signing the agreement, but I will certainly ask if Lori has anything to add, or if council has any questions.
No, I don't think there's anything to add. Everything was straightforward. It was just the similar, based on the negotiations and what came out of it, and that the points were listed in the discussion there as to what was the final result of the agreement, so.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, Sean. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Okay. Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Moving to secondary. I'm jumping the gun here. Wendy and Alan.
Moved by Councillor Hewitt and seconded by Councillor Wren that the Corporate Services and Protection Committee recommend to Council to enter into a service agreement with the Pembroke Public Library Board for the term 2024 to 2027 and forward bylaw 2024-05034 as presented to the bylaw portion of the regular council meeting of May 21st, 2024 for enactment.
Any further discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, all in favor? One, okay, carried. Next motion is community living request flag. And I think that's, any questions?
No, I was just going to say, the report is just is similar to that of the last year where we received a request to fly the community flag on the community flagpole at the township, and they're just looking for our continued support.
Okay, Brian and Jennifer?
Moved by Councillor Hoogley, seconded by Councillor Gauthier-Keel, that the Township of Laurentian Valley Corporate Services and Protection Committee recommend to Council to support the Upper Ottawa Community Flying our Flag event and approve the flying of the community living flag on the Township of Laurentian Valley Community Flagpole for the remainder of the month of May 2024.
All in favor? Carried? And I think we're doing a photo tomorrow? Is that confirmed, or are you going to let me know?
That's correct, yep. I think I'll call her back tomorrow morning to
Okay,
confirm,
and
but
then just
10:30, yep.
10:30? Yeah. Health and safety. And Laurie, that's you.
Okay, so we have a report in front of you tonight regarding policy HRG07, which is the control of hazards, workplace violence, and workplace harassment. As council will recall, the township is enrolled in the WSIB Excellence Program, and the topic that was chosen for year 2 of the program is control of hazards, workplace violence, and workplace harassment. The Occupational Health and Safety Act sets out duties for workplace parties in respect to workplace violence and workplace harassment. Employers must set up and maintain programs to implement the workplace violence and harassment policies in accordance with the Act. The township has policies in place currently with respect to Ontario Human Rights Code violation and misconduct in the workplace, and that speak to violence and harassment. This new policy does not replace these previous policies, but would enhance them or complements them with a program and procedures to report and prevent workplace violence and harassment in accordance with the Act. The Act requires that employers review the policies related to violence and harassment as often as necessary, but at least annually. The township has reviewed the policy in conjunction with the Joint Health and Safety Committee and the Public Services Health and Safety Association representative and updated the policy as recommended. And that's for you tonight for your consideration.
Questions for Laurie? Seeing none? Keith?
Motion.
Alan? Or you have a question?
No, motion.
Okay, motion, okay.
Moved by Reeve Watt, seconded by Councillor Wren, that the Corporate Services and Protection Committee review and adopt the draft Health and Safety Policy and Procedure HRG07, Control of Hazards, Workplace Violence, and Workplace Harassments in principle.
All in favor? Carried. Fire Chief Tim.
Season up back there.
Evening, Tim.
How you doing?
Good.
Hello. It's
Wow.
it's beyond busy. It's you know, the call we got a call last November with a structure fire, and it never sat with me properly, and I did report it to the OFM and the OPP both, and of course there was not much could be done. And then of course what's happened in the last 90 days has just confirmed what we thought was going on, but we'll never, if we ever improve it, but it's getting, I mean, the guys have, I shouldn't say the guys, but people have done a great job. They've, you know, we're running a structure fire a week the way it's going, and so, and they're major structures. They're not, you know, they're not 5-minute fires. So, but
Well, our
it's just-
hats off go to your guys for sure. Wow.
Pardon me?
Hats off to your guys
No,
for
yeah,
sure, and girls.
Thanks. No, they worked hard. They're getting tired. So's the old guy leading them.
That's enough training for now.
Well, it's quite the list for April. My goodness, it's just crazy.
And obviously, there's one that happened on last Tuesday night that's not on there. That we pretty well they saved. So, but people will be back in a few weeks. But that one's under the same kind of situation as those other ones.
So Tim, maybe I have a question, and I've already asked you this, but maybe for the public or watching or whatever, the process after a fire and how you report it, how it moves on, just an explanation of how that works.
Okay, so let's take a basic home fire. Once it obviously we put it out, I do a report on every fire. Okay, it's just a basic report. What happens with a fire like that usually is now if I look at it and we look at it and we decide that this is probably what caused it, that's a probable cause, that's where as far as it goes. But in most instances today, the insurance company sends in their own fire investigator. Okay, so 2 or 3 days after the fire, I'll get a call from an investigator and he'll say, I'm so-and-so, and I'm coming up to look at the fire. Can you meet me there? Okay. And so I meet him there, and we go over my reports and his reports. I mean, and he goes through and does what he does and so on and so forth. And then in a couple of months, he might call me and say, Tim, we figured this is what caused it. And I say, yeah, we figured the same thing. And life goes on, okay? The problem with the last few is that I can't get into what happens with, let's say we get a call, and first of all, now all these fires I'm talking about, there's no injuries, okay? There's nobody been hurt, and nothing. So let's say we get a call, the building burns down, but we don't like what we're seeing, okay? So I'll contact the OFM, all right, Ontario Fire Marshal's office, and tell them what's going on. They'll make a decision on their own whether they can come and investigate or not investigate, okay? It's like everything else. They're so busy that unless there's something major, they usually don't come and investigate. I also, over the last few months, have reported them all to the OPP because, okay, so that's what happens. So I let the OPP and the OFM know that this is what's going on, and it's not quite way it should be, and that's as far as basically it gets pushed, okay? Now, obviously, if there's a fatality in the situation, the OFM comes automatically, or if it's over $1 million, or if it's an explosion, okay? I believe actually it's 3 million now, but if it's an explosion, then they automatically will come, okay? Other than that, they usually don't show up, okay? It's like everybody else. They only have so big a staff, and they can only do so much, so.
So the insurance adjusters are much more experienced on fires or when they do an inspection?
Well, because the OFM doesn't investigate every fire, and because the fire departments, let's face it, most departments are like ours, we don't have the manpower to do that. We have people trained to do it, but we don't have the manpower to spend 3 days and bring in they bring in a hi-ho or whatever, and they pick the thing apart piece by piece, and and they make a report, and they charge the insurance company about $10,000, and that's, they say this is what caused it, okay? But this started, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, because the insurance companies want to know more of what's causing the fires and than what the fire people were going to put, effort they were going to put into it, so it's...
So it's going down
common.
a different road than what it used to.
Yeah, it's kind of, and most of the investigators for the insurance companies are retired firemen that have the course, so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's just going down a different road. Like I say, the only time it goes down the OFM road mostly is if there's fatalities. Once there's fatalities, well, then it's a whole new ballgame, but, so.
Okay, well, thanks for that. It explains
Yeah, no,
it
that's
very
fine.
well. Keith?
Just a question on that one. You named a couple of reasons why the Ontario Fire Marshals might investigate. The number of fires has nothing to do with it, like in this last recent case or roundabout?
The problem is that will, okay? But let's face it, every one of those major ones we've had, there's nothing left to investigate, really, okay? I mean, the one we had to tear down with a high hoe, we'd never put it out because it had double layer ceiling in it, okay? The other ones, they just, like the other one that the same thing. When you have to bring a high hoe in to put them out, because of tin and all that stuff, they just don't. And then the other thing is the value of them, okay? So, I mean, it's taken, what do we got, 6, well, there's, I don't know, we'll say 6 or 7 and since November that I don't like, okay? It's taken that many for people to start to really get interested, all right? I think the motel fire, that's when everybody finally said, yeah, there's something going on here, okay? But they don't seem excited about it yet, no. Because it's been handed off to the OPP. The OPP are investigating now on mostly all of the ones that I've called them on, because now it's they're starting to see a pattern, okay? So, I can't get in too deep, but the OPP are investigating, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Other questions? Council? I'll keep you too long. I know you're tired.
I'm always tired. It's called retired.
I guess, Tim.
It's supposed to be.
Again, just pass on to your guys and girls.
I will.
That,
Thank you.
They're doing a great job. We're proud of them.
Thanks. Just one more. I was at the Fire Chiefs Convention last week in Toronto, okay? And some of the things that seem to be coming down mostly is the cancer rate in firemen is very high, okay? It's been like that for years, and they've been telling us that for years. But I really believe in the next 4 or 5 years there's going to be a big change in the gear, because they have a couple of this PFAS gear that's supposed to be better, but it's one of the things that I really think there's going to be maybe a major change, because all these years they've thought this stuff was good for us. I mean, it was stopping the toxics from getting through to our skin, but I think they're starting to realize it's not working at all. So anyway, but I thought it was an interesting fact that.
So yeah, we're gonna have to increase the budget already. Right?
Well, I just wanted to give you a little hint. Just lead the way.
Now, is there anything else you want to tell us regarding our conversation today?
Oh,
as far as Nevada knows about it already?
No, I don't think I've told Nevada yet.
Okay.
No. I had my picture taken with Doug Ford. I got to meet Doug Ford at the meeting, so it was, it was pretty good. It was quite interesting. But so yeah.
We tried, but he wanted nothing to do with us. They had our convention, so.
So I suggested that get a picture over to Nevada and get it on our website.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Okay. Warming Center minutes are there. Any questions for Jennifer? Seeing none, it's closed down.
Yeah, everything's closed down, put away, and we're just on to new issues.
So is there any talks of next year already, or no?
No, we have a meeting May 13th. It was just canceled, and then I think it's May 13th to go over final numbers and to see if there is anything left over. Where is it going?
Okay. Thank you.
Just one So the chairs that were purchased, did they store them somewhere, or?
Cassidy's is storing them for free.
Oh, perfect, that's good.
Okay, animal control report is there. Dean's not here tonight, but if you have any questions, you could ask Lori, and she can get you the answers through Dean next week. Seeing none, move down to subcommittees, Festival Hall.
I wasn't able to attend the Elton Ron concert, but I heard it was amazing, everybody loved it, and it was a huge success from what I was told.
Yeah, actually, Councillor Wren and myself were there, and Dean. I thought it was very well done. If you close your eyes, you thought you're listening to Elton John, and good turnout. Yeah, good job. Place looks great. Absolutely. Okay, library.
Nothing to report this month.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll move down to Ottawa Valley Waste Recovery Center. We are having a frustrating time with the ministry. We've got John Yakubuski involved. That because of all the delays that the ministry has made our group go through, there's a trench that was planned to go in this year to get ready for the upgrade next year. Now the ministry wants to add a pumping system to it, and it's more of their delays. And now they have a new staff member of the ministry investigating it. So we're actually meeting with the ministry later on this month, because it's like 3 years behind, and we're now at $3.7 million to put the system in. It's just wild. There's no end to it, and a lot of the issues are ministry delays through COVID and whatever, but we're going to bear the brunt of the cost because of that. So it's a struggle. The only other thing maybe I mention is that Thursday nights have been canceled. We did run Thursday nights for a while, staying open later. But due to the lack of people coming, they've gone back to regular hours. So just a heads up there. That's it, unless there's any questions. And I guess, Mark, June 1st is green card every week?
Yes, yeah, our green cards start June 1st, and that'll run through to September weekly. And then at the end of May is large item collection as well. So we have that later this month, that large item collection will be, so.
Okay, thank you. Move down to community development, recreation, Nevada. Please.
Hello, so I prepared a report since you approved the budget to create some municipal park signage. Currently, we don't have a branded sign that is at our parks. There are some parks that don't even have signage. So we put out an RFP in late March, and we received 3 proposals. One of them was disqualified because he didn't meet the terms of the RFP, but the 2 that came in were one was from Speed Pro Signs and one is from Nature of Design. So I'm here tonight to get your approval. We had a small committee that did evaluations of the 2 proposals, and our recommendation would be to go with Nature of Design. The mock-up that you see in my report, that originally came from that company, and so this is what the sign would look like. It'd have the logo, the name of the facility. If the committee has their own, the recreation committee has a logo, that'll be included on it, and the address and icons of all the park features. So tonight I'm looking for your approval to go ahead and hire Nature of Design.
Alan?
Did they give you any idea of the expected life for these kinds of signs? Are they 10 years, 20 years?
No, they didn't. I don't know if Mark would know that, but I don't.
In the specification we put together, we did use products that are meant for outdoors. There's a clear laminate over top. So as with road signs, you're probably 10 or 15 years life expectancy on them. The posts are to be, they are steel, they're steel 6x6, but they are to be primed and 2 coats of paint applied as well. So potentially maybe having to repaint the steel posts, somewhere in that lifespan, but I would think probably 10 or 15 years, no issues for the signs to last.
Great.
Anybody else? Questions? Motion? Alan and Betty?
Moved by Councillor Wren, seconded by Councillor King, that the Community Development, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommends that Council approve the recommendation to hire Nature of Design to design, supply, and install new municipal park signage within the scope of the work identified in the LVPS 2024-01 Municipal Park Signage Request for Proposal.
All in favor? Carried. Nevada, we would never put Township of Laurentian Valley on that? No way. It's just Laurentian Valley.
Well, yeah, if you look at different communities, it's usually just their logo,
logo,
and
okay.
then the name of the park,
Okay.
really.
All right, thank you. Okay, Multicultural Festival. Who has that? Chris. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we received a request from the Pembroke Library and the Multicultural Festival for their 9th annual upcoming Pembroke Multicultural Festival to sponsor the event again. The budget that had been allocated for this by my predecessor was in the amount of $1,000, and that was the request that I had put forward in this motion to support that. There was a variety of different packages for this, but based off of what was allotted in that, that is what I had recommended.
Okay, and that does give us a booth at the event, right?
Yes, it does give us a booth at the event, which we will be there to give out various information about upcoming township events. I believe it would be the same as last year.
Questions, comments? Brian?
Did they supply you with any sort of a budget or what the funds will be used for, or are they required or needed, or?
There was a cover letter that was sent, but the tone of the letter was mainly to support the festival, as you can see here, just kind of reiterating that the festival itself has been going on for 9 years and that they would like our continued support, and then the various packages that were outlined that we would be able to have a booth set up there. In terms of allotment of funds and where that would go, that was not laid out to my awareness of what it would go towards, but I'm sure we could inquire about that. But to my awareness, there was no outline of where that would go.
Okay. Alan?
So in your, your thoughts on this, would this be a good return on our investment for what we're going to get back out of it?
It depends. I mean, we're going to be able to be there to give out information about the township and what we kind of do. So we would get a lot of probably foot traffic there, which would be valued. I mean, from what I understand, it's been an ongoing relationship, and so I definitely think it's important to keep that part going. But as terms of how many people will be there, because I myself haven't experienced the festival, I wouldn't know exactly how many people were going to come and that we would see. A lot of this was based off of money that would have been allocated before I was here, and that I don't have the direct experience to know exactly what I'm to expect, but I'm imagining that quite a few people will be there. And so for that ability to showcase and the goodwill going forward to the township, I think it's a good investment in that regard. But I couldn't make a full disclosure having not experienced it myself.
And certainly, our businesses will benefit from this event as well.
Yes.
Whether it's restaurants or whatever. Keith?
I was chair of the board when they first started the whatever, and I guess they the first year there was less than 100 people, and the numbers grew each year after that. And the last 2 years ago, I think there was in excess of 2,000 people that attended.
wow.
The amount that was contributed, there was different levels for sponsorship, and the 1,000, I think there was 1,500 and whatever to go, and just general cost, advertising, program, things like that, that we're all involved in doing that. And actually, it's a time well spent going through. It's really interesting, so.
Wendy, you've attended before, so.
Yes, I was there last year, and I was at our booth, and I can say that, just from conversation with the city mayor, that it's probably one of the biggest events that the waterfront has had as far as traffic goes. And I know that our township did have a little bit of a gift basket, and you could enter to win a gift too, but it's definitely a high-traffic area, and it does benefit our township as well.
I think Betty had her hand up, then Alan.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I was manning the booth for a while there too, and there is definitely a lot of traffic goes by there, by the area.
Good. Alan?
It does say in Carthy's letter that last year there was in excess of 5,000 participants over the 2 days.
Yep. Okay, you have no further discussion. Can I get a motion? Wendy and Keith?
Moved by Councillor Hewitt, seconded by Reeve Watt, that the Community Development, Recreation, and Culture Committee recommends that council agree to purchase a champion-level sponsorship for 2024 Pembroke Library Multicultural Festival in the amount of $1,000.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Next item, Chris.
Here I am again. Good evening once again. So this is my report for April. As had been previously mentioned, Festival Hall on April 5th, I attended the partners meeting, and I myself was also at Elton Ron, and I can conclude that it was a wonderful show. I got the chance to also talk with Terry Mask, who was the sound engineer there, and get the technical details on a lot of the equipment, and it sounded very good, and I thought it was a wonderful show, having myself been involved with Festival Hall as a younger person. It's definitely changed quite a bit, and it was very well money invested. Solar eclipse. So, wow, that escalated quickly. This little chart here shows January at 628 subscriptions. And then some sort of phenomenon in March, being the eclipse, happened here, and things have now skyrocketed to 1,549 subscriptions. So during the eclipse, the idea to give out those glasses started off as a very small thing, but very quickly realized there was a huge demand. We ended up actually giving away 1,500 pairs of glasses. And we saw a 150% increase in subscriptions. So as a result of this, we now have 923 new subscribers to bring us to a total of 1,551 as of this. So our newsletter, so having had all those new subscribers, we see here, again, 1,551 people. The top 3 links, of course, being the eclipse was the number 1, which is the live stream. And then the collection schedules was the other one. Myself and Nevada and Keith were able to go to the OVTA AGM Awards, and where the LV Fit and Feisty were nominated for an award. Unfortunately, they didn't win, but it was still a wonderful day full of community engagement, networking, and knowledge sharing. So I was really happy to attend that. And next up, grants. So I tried to attach this, but it was too big to attach. So I've been told there is a grant portal, so I'm going to try to get that going so you can actually see what we've been up to with all these grants. But this was for the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. for which we applied to pay for our portion of the MTO Highway 148 rehabilitation. What we applied for was, the grant was a cost sharing of 27%. So the total request was for $2,825,000, with 27% of that being for Laurentian Valley at $762,750,000. This grant was a bear. It was very technical. It involved everyone here, so I really appreciate all the staff helping me. I had to learn a lot about water dynamics and utilities, and so I'm very grateful to Mark and Lori, everyone here on the team who helped me write this, because it was a lot of work. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that to get some savings for the taxpayers towards that project. And then just some other grants that we were working on that were kind of already in process. Stafford Park, I was invited on the 22nd of April to attend Stafford Park. We continue to go, and some councillors here have been involved in the process to see the asset management plan and some of the other community development master plans. But basically, what we are doing there, and I believe, were we able to attach the lodge that in there? Okay. So in that one that you'll see where we went to the lodge, that just goes to show an example of kind of how much work goes into writing a grant. That's the asset management. There you go, the lodge. So a lot of times when we're writing a grant, we're basically just pivoting. As soon as the grant comes out, you have about 30 days to write the grant, but there's a lot of moving parts. You'll have to figure out how it's going to be built, how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take to build, accessibility, all these other things, and that can eat up quite a bit of time. When you incorporate the cycles of council as well as the cycles of the community groups, you've eaten a lot of time just in that process. So the goal through that asset management, which we already went through last meeting, and this is to show how much work goes into these, but the benefit of having them shovel ready once we do. The long-term goal of this would be that, just like a strategic action plan, like the cycle of council, that all the groups would have all their projects that they need and want all lined up like this, so that not only can we see and everyone can get on the same page about a vision, what's something that we want to do, but also that we can continue to build on it with letters of support and other kinds of details that are going to help that grant get through. And so that's, I just wanted to show that, because that was one example. We went through that whole process and then we realized the cost was going to be more than what the grant allotted, but we didn't know that because we had to go through the whole process of just figuring out how we could even do it. And so my goal with the community groups as well as the township is to identify through asset management what we need, through the community development master plan what we want, and get everything shovel ready so that when a grant comes out, we're not using our time to try to get the grant process done in terms of the details. We're focusing on the story. We're focusing on the things that are actually going to get that grant through, those little extra things to details, because it eats up so much time trying to do this stuff. And so that's my goal long term, is to have this shovel ready and be prepared so that we can take advantage of all the opportunities that are coming out, and that we know strategically where we're going and how we're going to do it. So finally, Imagination Emergency. So this was a really fun one. Lori came to me and was looking for some creative solutions. So myself and Angela started working on an idea, and we came up with Imagination Emergency. So fire, flood might seem something very present in our lives, and that we as adults can see are very important things, but to children, they might not think that those are important. Myself, having lived through a house fire, know that you don't have the time to react. You do not have the time to think, and the one thing that I kept thinking all the time was, if I had kids, how would I have got them out? How would they have known? And that's just one emergency that can happen. And so I took that to heart, and I came up with this plan, working with the planning department, to put it on a family level. So instead of focusing on the things, fire, flood, we focused on things that are a little more fun, like a zombie apocalypse or dinosaurs from Jurassic Park getting loose. to get the kids and the families thinking about an emergency in a fun way. Those kinds of things are more relatable and the kids can get excited about it. And we didn't limit it to just what I'd come up with, what you can see are some silly ones. We tried to use things that be relatable to the kids, like Pokemon being loose, or Klaus and Verja Dermont have, I don't even know that. That's from apparently How to Train Your Dragon, which is really important, and kids love that. But we tried to put it on their level so that they could see and imagine something fun, but still do the process of working through an emergency. Because even though for a zombie apocalypse you'd probably need somewhat different tools, you'd still probably have to hunker down in your house and have food and have supplies. And so the thought process was that put it on a level so that the kids could get excited about it, but they could also put in their own things of what they thought about. And so it breaks it down as to, you know, what kind of things would you need to, could be a problem. You know, you don't have heat, you don't have any TV, but also maybe epic battle scenes or something like that, because that's what kids are probably thinking about when they're going through this process. And so the whole idea was to get kids and families into an exercise that's more engaging and more fun so they could use their imaginations, but thinking about an emergency. And so that's kind of where the heart of this all came from. And we're hoping to get quite a few submissions. We do have a contest, a prize for local residents that's going to be given away. And we just wanted to do something exciting to get the families involved in thinking about an emergency, thinking about what they might need, and getting their minds in a less intense way that's more fun for them and can be on their level. And so I think we've come together and made that happen, and we hope that we get some really creative things that come out of this. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what these families come up with, and we're hoping to get quite a bit more engagement from that. So, and other than that, I have a list of things here that I won't go through, but that you've just seen other things that I've been up to. And that's it for my April report.
Thank you very much, Chris. I think that's a great idea you guys come up with, and try and get some of the grandkids involved on it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now we have Nevada, please.
Okay, so I'll give you a little update of what we've been doing in April, working with the volunteers, the recreation committees a lot. We're still working on our active transportation and trails plan. So in April, we did get to host our second stakeholder meeting, and I think we got a lot of good conversation and feedback. The consultants, Paradigm, prepared their preliminary recommendations, so they were the first group to see them, and then I'm sharing it with staff, and then getting feedback from staff as well. And then our next step would be to host an open house for the public to review the recommendations, or the preliminary recommendations. And then hopefully after that, they would finalize their first draft of the report, and then I'd be able to share it with council. Inventory assets, so recreation, like Chris was talking about, we're trying to work with all the committees to identify the assets at every park and rec center. So far we sat down with Stafford Park, Shady Nook we did last night, and then we also sat with Allison Fraser earlier. I think it was in March. So our goal would be to have something compiled by the end of the summer, and then present something to you in September. Municipal park project, I gave you an update on that in my last report. I've been working on getting first aid training and AED training certification for our recreation volunteers. So we were able to host our first group. That was the Fit and Feisty group back in March. We have 2 more training sessions scheduled, one for June 1st, and that'd be comprised mainly of the Stafford Park Committee. And then we have Shady Nook scheduled for June 15th, and mainly them, but I'm opening those 2 sessions up to the rest of the committees, because there's only a few from the rest that would like to attend. Community gardens, so we've pretty much sold a large majority of the plots. We only have 2 left at Shady Nook and 2 left at Allison Fraser. So it's a pretty successful year so far. We've put out an ad, so we received a grant to hire a recreation and administration summer student. The job ad went out, started on, well, they have till May 9th to, or sorry, that's changed actually. They have till May 16th to apply. And the job would start on May 27th. So basically they'd be working with myself and Chris Neff, our community development officer, as well as with administration, so any other department that would need their assistance. We hope to get a candidate that would also be able to do some recreation maintenance 1 or 2 days a week, so out in the field in the parks. So we'll see. I've gotten about 10 applications so far, and there's some pretty good ones in there, so I'm hopeful that we'll get somebody very good to help with us this summer. The Stafford Park Play Structure Resurfacing Upgrade, that project is complete. So we removed all the sand at the 3 play structures at Stafford Park and replaced it with engineered wood fiber, which is an accessible surface. So now it'd be more accessible to people with mobile aids. One of the nice things that came out of this project is JP Splinter donated his time to remove his staff time and equipment to remove the sand and to add the wood chips. So that was, I ended up getting 3 quotes, and it was, one quote came in at $9,000 and one quote came in at $12,000. So he pretty much donated $10,000 to Stafford Park. So we went out last week and gave him a certificate and just thanked him and the mayor, and we had a picture, and I prepared a media release that we sent out to the media last week.
Just to interrupt, just for a second, I thought about that, and obviously it was very nice of what they did. Is that, would we get into maybe putting a small plaque on the building saying, thank you?
Well, yeah, because there's another gentleman that's donating his time to redo the flooring, like the carpeting in the building, and they're talking about doing that for that. So maybe I can work with the group and get one for both done. The open water swim program. So that was a program that council approved last month, and I am happy to say that we've already filled our 11 spots. Wow. And I think their entire program is already full. The last time she reached out to me, they were at 79 and their capacity was 100. So it was a very popular program, and we're happy that we have 11 of our residents in the program. The Junior Gardeners Competition. So that's scheduled to start on May 27th. So from May 27th to June 10th, youth age 16 and under can go to Sunset Nursery and pick up a plant to grow over the summer. It's free. They just have to register at the Sunset Nursery, and they grow the plant over the summer, and then we have an awards ceremony at the end of July, which is in the Stafford Party in the park. So that award ceremony is scheduled for July 27th this year. And I think that's it. I just highlighted some meetings that I attended and a couple different meetings on events that I'm preparing.
Any questions for Nevada? Betty?
I was just wondering if we plan on doing the resurfacing of the sand to the wood chips on any of the other.
That was the only one we budgeted for this year because kids were bringing sand on the splash pad and it was damaging like the underground piping. So, but that is our goal, is every year to choose a park and do that upgrade.
One thing I know we did get comments, people are just wondering why we took the sand out, so maybe when we do it again, just to put in that it was for disability and mobile aids and to help.
Yes, we didn't realize we'd get that type of reaction. I did respond with the explanation, but in the media release as well, we did explain why we did that project.
Okay, anything else for Nevada? And I do apologize that I didn't give council the opportunity to ask Chris any questions, so I'll backtrack. Does council have any questions for Chris? No? Okay, you're both off the hook then. Thank you. Okay, move down to subcommittee, Shady Nook Rec. Oh, sorry. Friends of the Disabled.
So we did have a couple of fundraisers last month, as I mentioned, and we had a check presentation from the Pembroke Professional Firefighters Association to this committee. And from the pancake breakfast, we received $2,500, which was amazing, because it's the first time we've ever done that. And I think in moving forward, it sounds like it may happen again. So we're very excited about that, and the new bus has arrived. And I know they're working on getting the logos, and our township logo will be on that bus too. And then there also was another fundraiser, but I haven't heard the results of the paint night. But I did attend myself. I'm not an artist, I know that, but I did attend and it was fun. We did cap it at 25 people because of space. We held it at the fire department and it was full. So I'm just waiting to hear how much money we raised on that.
Good, thank you. Okay, Shady Nook, Brian.
So minutes are there from 2 meetings ago. We did have a meeting again last night, and the highlights out of last night's meeting are that the Science North is going to do a summer camp at Shady Nook Monday to Friday through the month of July, so it'll be for 4 weeks. So keep tuned to our website. Nevada will be putting updates on how you can register for that, but that'll be, it hasn't been around here for at least 5 or 6 years, so this is big news for the township to have that offered at Shady Nook for the month of July. Last time I reported that soccer registration was down, but like normal fashion, it's come in at the last minute, and we now have 359 people registered for soccer at Shady Nook for this summer. So looks like a good season of soccer in Laurentian Valley Township.
Good, thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian? Allison Fraser? Patty?
Minutes and income statement are attached to the report. Minor ball is going crazy, same as soccer. I don't have any numbers because we don't run the program. It's run by Allison Fraser Minor Ball, but they've said that the numbers are great and they can't wait to get started after the long weekend. There was a request. Elizabeth Graham has stepped up to be the chairperson for Allison Fraser Rec, and had some concerns about being able to handle that role as well as running Fall Flavors. So I know we reached out to Nevada about seeing if the township can help out with maybe helping plan that. So I'm just wondering maybe if that's someplace where we could fit that summer student into helping with some of the phone calls and soliciting vendors and that type of thing for the event.
Okay, questions for Patty? Forrest Lee?
I think you heard it all tonight
Yep.
from the members, and I have been in touch with them over the past too, so.
Okay, good. Pleasant View?
Nothing to report.
Nothing, okay. Stafford?
Well, I wasn't at the meeting, I was in Toronto, but Nevada pretty much summed her all up in her report.
Yeah, it looks really good out there now too, Nevada. The park looks, with just the changes there, whatever, it looks really good. Four Seasons Trail, we're closed, right, Mark?
Yeah, not a whole lot going on now, but we are at the Pembroke Community Expo this weekend, so to kind of plug ourselves. Chris and I will have some news to share later, but we do have an addition or a feature coming to our park that we'll discuss later. But if you come to the show, we'll give you maybe a sneak preview of what's coming, and I'll leave that out there, hoping to drum up some people to come and check out our booth.
Good, sounds exciting. Betty?
Just wondering if you know about the bear that's been tipping over the garbage cans along the trail?
Yes, yeah, we were there on the weekend. We were talking to some trail users, so yeah, we do have a bear that's been visiting the area. So hopefully he finds his way out of the back part of the trail.
Jennifer?
Just a question, does Laurentian Valley have a booth? Like, are we up in Petawawa last weekend and this weekend in Pembroke? Why are we not? Not to put you right on the spot, but why? We want our name out there, grow with us. Why would we not participate?
But I think it's a home show, right?
This could be your home in Laurentian Valley. Why? I think it could be anything.
Well, something that you guys can look at for next year, I guess. certainly staff can look into it. Fit and feisty. Keith?
The minutes are there. The activities are endless. I've talked to people, they've had side-by-side rides on the trail out towards Barry's Bay. There's another one planned that they're going to stay overnight out there. Great participation from all involved, so no, they're doing well.
Good. Alrighty, we have the raise report for April. Any questions for Keith? Brian?
I see that they've approved funding for a bridge on Whitewater Road. Do you have the details? Will it be shut down or one lane, and how long is that going to go on for?
It's not on schedule, sorry. That isn't scheduled right yet. It will be later on in the season, and I have no particulars. There is a website on the county, Brantford County website, that will identify each of those. Right off the cuff, I can't tell you exactly how to get to it, but it is there, and I will get back to you on that.
They were actually there today with the down to one
were
lane
they?
already.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
So
Looks like just they're doing some type of inspection, though, eh?
yeah,
It's just a ladder over it, the guy can climb down and inspect underneath.
but I was wondering if it was going to be shut off and need to be detoured, and how long, and what's Mark?
We did have a request come through from the county, and the idea is a full closure. They are looking to utilize some township roads as part of the detour, but we do have some concerns about the state of some of our roads and the width of them being able to accommodate the amount of truck traffic that would go through there. So we haven't finalized the detour route yet, but the county's idea now is a full closure. And usually a bridge will be several months. I don't know the time frame, but the idea is a full closure of the road.
And any estimated start date, or?
No, I haven't talked to them in a few weeks about it, so I'm not sure. I know it was a project for this year, but I'm not 100% sure on the date.
Okay. Council comments. Wendy?
I just forgot to add a couple of pieces to the handy bus. Our ridership is continuing to grow quite a bit. And the other piece is Sunday, the bus did not operate before, but we are now operating on Sundays because the demand was there. So an extra driver has been hired, and we're running extra hours now.
Okay. Keith?
Just a comment. In the short time Chris has been here, I think he's certainly making his mark, and I just want to say thanks for everything that he's doing. I think he's doing a good job so far.
Thank you.
Brian?
Two comments. I had one call wondering for an update on high-speed internet and what its status is. They were on Mud Lake Road, and do we have any word on where that's at, or?
Yeah, we do get some calls regularly at the township, but at this point in time, there are no internet projects that the township has an involvement with, so it is the operators that are doing that themselves. We do know that there will be coming yet, that we'll put information on our website, a provincial program related to some Cogeco expansion that's to do with areas that couldn't be serviced with a business case, that the province did a separate whole program guided by them that should be forthcoming. But beyond that, again, they are independent projects by the internet providers, and it's not anything that there was programs that the township was engaged or be able to be engaged with.
I just happened to be talking to NRTCO at the booth in Petawawa, and they said right now they're on this side of the highway, because I'd asked them about when they were coming to my side of the B-line, or the highway, and they're saying as they get money, they do a section. So I know people out on Doran Road that were getting hooked up this week, so I guess they're just kind of moving around as they've got funding, but it's getting there.
My second question, and it was maybe more for Dean because it's probably an AMO question, was with regards to page 41 in the last federal budget, where they said the budget 2024 announces that the government will consider introducing a new tax on residentially zoned vacant land, and the government will launch consultations later this year, and I'm wondering if we can voice our objection to the federal government getting into taxing municipal properties, particularly vacant ones.
Certainly make a note for that, Laurie, if you would. Okay. Okay, I have a couple of things. I have been approached, and I guess we're going to get a formal letter regarding the MAT tax, the 4% tax. Pembroke, I guess, is bringing it forward. Petawawa is thinking about bringing it forward. If you remember a few years ago, we had some of the hotel operators come and we're against the MAT tax, the 4% that's added to your room stay. I guess this group has kind of had a 100% turn, and now they're in favor of it. So it's just something for you, just giving you a heads up that this will be coming up probably in June. Just if you want to get yourself ready for it, but there will be a report that comes out. Dean and I did meet with Chris Belanger and another gentleman from MTO in Mr. Yakubuski's office. It was more of the same, frustration. They gave a lot of reasons why they're delayed. They're working with the 4 owners of a drive-in road to put up the temporary lights. They haven't finalized, as they have to lease more property from the 4 owners in order to put up temporary lights, because they don't want them to go where the final lights are going to be. So they're hoping that possibly by the fall, they're kind of 50-50, and maybe the fall on those lights. They are talking, if all goes well, and they wouldn't quote, so I won't quote that for sure, but they're looking at the spring of 2025 to begin construction at Angus Campbell. As far as the Quebec turn, again, you know, we reiterated our comments regarding something is required, whether it's lights or roundabout. They're up to 92% on their last study, but they will not look at anything as far as controlling the traffic until they get to 100%, which again, we struggle with because we all know that between the developments going on in the East End and new businesses coming in, that we're gonna get to 100 real soon. My hope is that hope and not hope, but if it is a 2.5-year project, by the time they get to drive-in road, possibly there could be more studies and whether they can make minor changes to that operation or not. But they did say that it would not be very detrimental if, say, in 5 years from now they did get to 100%, that they would be able to add lights or, well, they only talked about lights, but if they did get to 100%. There is going to be another study done this summer in the high traffic times, which we gave them earlier. I'm not sure if we're going to have a staff member be able to sit with these folks, but that's in the process as well. As Chris said, there's a lot of moving pieces in this project, you know, from A to B kind of thing. And you know, they said last year was soil issues, and you know, we've made a couple of changes, but we're not the issue. But it's one of the hugest projects that he's worked on that has so many entrances and whatever. And as we said to Chris, well, you shouldn't be calling it a highway. It's the east end of Laurentian Valley. And anyways, they're trying, but that's the most update I have right now on it.
He said he wasn't going to retire until the project.
I reminded him.
Whether he's going to live until.
Yeah. I did remind him of that as well. And, you know, you can see it in him how frustrated he is with all the loopholes, but still no excuse. And John Yakubuski was there. He did make a couple of comments. Whether he travels with that any further, I don't know. But it sounds like they're going as fast as they can, but there is a bit of an issue with one area. The problem is with those lights, if they won't lease the land, then they have to expropriate, and that takes 9 months. from beginning to end, and there's a couple other areas that they're working on right now for extra width, for some of our drainage, I believe. So, yeah, it's one issue after another, but we walked out about the same as we felt when we walked in, so,
Yeah.
frustrating. Anything else from council? If not, motion to adjourn. Alan and Betty.
Moved by Counselor Wren, seconded by Counselor King, that the council in committee meeting of May 7, 2024 be adjourned at 7:25 PM.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone.